Hospital Port, that's pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to Hapanwo TV. It's another Hapanwo TV roving film review. That's right, I'm actually going to the same cinema, the View Cinema Oxford. I'm going a slightly different way this time because I've been to visit a friend and had a word with him, and I'm going straight from the cinema to there. So I'm just heading to the cinema from the other direction, so it's a different way to what you're used to. But I'm going to go and see a movie. And now this is a film I'd seen trailers for this film, but I didn't really feel inclined to go to see it. But however, it was recommended to me by none other than Sophie, the Porter's poet. She actually suggested that I go and see it. Blimey, Christmas decorations up already. Who could believe it, eh? Blimey. So that's where I'm going now. And now this is a film called. On reflection, it probably is the kind of thing I'd want to see, because it's directed by someone called Jordan Peele, who is quite an experienced director of TV shows and things like that. But it's produced by the people who brought you the series Insidious. Now, I'm a big fan of the Insidious movies. I think they're actually fantastic. So I couldn't really. This is a very, very important thing to go and see. If it's from the same team that brought you that, then this is probably going to be as good. So I'm going to go and see it. It's called Get Out. Get Out. That's the title. Unusual title, of course. But I'm going to head there now. If I'm going the right way. I've not been round here for bloody ages, but it's not the way I normally go. But I think I could, if I remember correctly, I've been this way before a couple of times. If I go down this pathway, I probably should get to where I'm going. Here we go. I'm heading in the right direction anyway. Now, so thanks for Sophie and her partner Chris and everyone else. Thank you very much for suggesting this to me. And I'm going to go and see it now. I saw the trailer. It does look like that kind of film. Now, as always, I'm going completely and utterly double-blinded. I've seen it with completely fresh eyes. I've made sure to avoid all reviews, all synopses, all ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, etc, etc. So I'm going to go and see it completely and utterly as I would if I'd never heard of it before. That's always very important to me, because I know that reviews and things like that can bias you, because those bloody critics, bloody bastards. Yeah, I know. I'll have a bit more of a go at the critics later, but yeah, you know, it's kind of like they do bias you. So if you read a review before you go, it will actually affect the way you see the film. So I'm not watching any reviews at all. I'm just going straight there. Now, this is a film. I mean, from what I gather from the trailer, I've watched the trailer. From what I gather from the trailer, it looks a bit cliche for a horror movie. A young couple go to some remote place in the woods. All kinds of strange things happen. Something strikes against their car while they're heading towards their destination, etc. You know, just a hint of things to come. You know, we've all seen those sort of things before. We've all seen those kind of cliches. But there's a few other things like skeletons and ghosts, and that's what I gather from the trailer. And all kinds of some kind of lost history. You know. Some kind of dark history. The place they're going to see has some kind of dark and malevolent past. That does look quite up my street. Now, when I watched the trailer, I got the distinct impression, though, that there was a kind of dual narrative to this. In a sense, it's maybe two films in one. Now, the reason I thought this is because the trailer seemed to make a big deal out of the fact that of this young couple. The male half of the couple was black, and the female half of the couple was white. So they're an interracial couple, and there's several scenes, there's several clips in the trailer that made me think that they're going to make a deal out of this. In other words, this is going to be some kind of exactly what. Well, it brings up the same forebodings in me as it did when I was going to go and see Viceroy, in that this is going to be some kind of cultural Marxist you know, hate white heterosexual males fest, you know, that kind of thing. Now I don't know if it's going to be like that, because the Viceroy's house didn't come out like that. Turned out not to really to be that way. So this might not turn out to be that way, but that's the impression I got from the trailer. And look, you just see the Qassam Stadium. This is an amazing place. This is a little park here, and that there is the Qassam Stadium. It's a really remarkable building. And it's horseshoe shaped. It has like two stands and just one terrace. They left the other end open-ended, and Ellis Taylor has made a big deal out of that, about how horseshoes are very important from an occult symbolic point of view. So you see that looming out of you in the distance. Now there's the old sewage farm over there. I remember this when I was a kid, a few years ago. This place used to stink to high heaven, just like that brook leading from the other side by this Oxford Science Park, but it doesn't now for some reason. But anyway, this is always a concern for me, that they're going to turn this into some sort of hate white heterosexual male fest. You know, they do cinema and TV. I mean, I've complained about this many times. You know what I'm going to say, because I've said it before. That there's just a kind of like there is insidious to use that phrase, seeing as it's the producer of the film, little kind of continuous message as you get all the time if you go to TV or you go to films, that basically white heterosexual males are evil, and we who are white heterosexual male like me must hate ourselves, and those who are not white heterosexual males have to hate white heterosexual males. So it's self-hatred and hatred, a perfect combination of psychological destruction. And I've always objected to that. I mean, see, when it comes to like blaxploitation movies, I mean, there were a lot of them around. There's just so many of them, and TV shows and things like that. And it's just like, and they always have some plot about some guy. It's like Roots, when some guy was a slave and stuff like this, and he's brought from Africa, and or it's 12 Years a Slave or something like that. And I want to just say to these people, yeah, I know there's such things as slaves. I know there used to be such things as slaves. Okay, I know that. I got the message. Can we drop it now? All right, I know that, but they just won't drop it. And this is because they seem to want to keep telling us this, because I think they get something out of it in terms of psychological warfare. It seems to be a kind of like a universal attack. It's almost like an attack. It's like it's being browbeaten. It's like saying, look, you got to hate yourself, right? You got to hate yourself. You're evil. You're evil. You're evil, and things like that to people like me, WHM people, and to non-WHM people, it's look, you're a victim. You're a victim. You'll be, you're hard done by, and these are the people. The WHM people are those who are to blame for it. And you know, any protest to the contrary, like, well, actually, I don't actually own any slaves. I don't even have a garden in my blocks of flats. And I have a window box, and I don't grow cotton there. I grow flowers, and if I grew cotton there, well, I'd be able to do it myself. And if I need any help, I borrow next door neighbour's slave and things like that. It doesn't matter what you say. They will still maintain this. They'll keep reminding you. It's like it has to be maintained constantly through continuous reminding and reiteration that, and I find that uncomfortable. I do. And I think I'm meant to find it uncomfortable. And I just hope other people do, whether you're white, whether you're a man, whether you're homosexual or heterosexual, whether you're a black or white. If you watching this, I hope I'm communicating to you that maybe, you should feel uncomfortable too, because there's something wrong here. There's something wrong with this message. And there's a film, I watched a film once called A Time to Kill, which actually featured one of my favourite actors, actually, Samuel L. Jackson, who I've got a lot of affection for. Samuel L. Jackson played this black guy who lived in the deep south in the 60s or 50s or something like that, and he had this little 8-year-old girl, sweet young girl, and she was attacked by these two WHM people who were members of the Ku Klux Klan, because of course all WHM people are members of the Ku Klux Klan, aren't we? Yes. and they brutalised her, they beat her, raped her, and stuff like this. And then Samuel L. Jackson gets his own back because the two WHM people strut arrogantly into court, knowing they're going to get away with it because which way am I going? Now that there is the Kassam Stadium. There's Oxford United. You see. I'm running out of what's this? I'm running out of film. I'm just going to have to delete a few of the old movies, and then I'll have more space. Yeah, sorry, I didn't clean some of that. Now over there's the cinema, so I'll go this side of the Kassam Stadium. That there was Oxford United's ground there, the famous Kassam Stadium, built by billionaire aristocrat Viros Kassam, a very well-known local businessman. This took about 5 years to build because the original owners just bloody skedaddled with the money, and Kassam, I think, took it over. So he's very immodestly named it after himself. But if you want to go and see Oxford United playing, this is the place to go. Oh, it's quite hot. There's a Saturday afternoon. There's a good atmosphere here, I'll tell you. Except when Swindon Town are playing, bastards. Anyway, yeah, I was saying that where was I? Yeah, this film, A Time to Kill, Samuel L. Jackson. As these WHM abusers strut arrogantly in a court, knowing that because they're privileged, their white heterosexual male privilege is going to mean they're going to get off scot-free. They're going to get away with raping this poor little black girl, and they're going to go be free to go and do it again to other poor little innocent black girls, right? Because of that, well, anyway, Samuel L. Jackson, as any father would do, as I would do in his position, he gets a gun and he shoots these guys dead. And the rest of the film is basically his trial. It's a courtroom drama. And so like that, but the theme, the way it's, when I was watching that film, I felt there was something wrong with it. I just had this feeling in my head, there's something wrong with this movie. God, it's quite impressive, this stadium. There's something wrong with this film. It's just so monolithic, it's just so blunt, it's so simplistic. And I couldn't put my finger on it. And I started looking at reviews on that, which all said, "Oh, it's a wonderful film. It's a wonderful tour de force of justice and social progressivism." And I thought, right. And then that's when I kind of got a hint at what things are going. Now, the film is based on a John Grisham novel called A Time to Kill, and I kind of think Grisham's kind of cash in on the kind of social justice tidal wave, because if you want to be a successful author, you can write some kind of story about evil white heterosexual males abusing non-white heterosexual males, you know, and they're all cackling and hand-rubbing and things like that. We're WHM people and we're so evil, we don't care because the establishment is on our side and our privilege will protect us from any kind of outcome. You know, if you do that, it's going to be a bestseller. And I got the feeling the critics, you know what I think of critics, right? Well, the critics, I've got a lot of criticisms for critics. They slag things off when they shouldn't, right? But they also, I think they may shower praise on things that they shouldn't either as well, for purely political reasons, and this is a good example. There we are. It's the same building you've seen before, but just approaching it from a different angle. I normally come from it over there. And anyway, they poured praise on this very, very, what I thought was a very, very unintellectual film. It was very kind of like a little bit homespun, a little bit crude. I mean, I wouldn't object to a film about evil WHM people attacking innocent non-WHM people. I don't object to that theme in a film, but I just, if you're going to do it in a slightly more intellectual manner. Because A Time to Kill was very anti-intellectual. I mean, the WHM people, the KKK members, I mean, they were just so sort of like, they were just so unimaginatively evil. Do you know what I mean? So I'm hoping this film will not be the same. I'm hoping this film will not be another of these like comic book cut-out blaxploitation movies, which are meant to make me as a WHM person feel guilty and make everybody else hate me, because that's cultural Marxism. That was a mind control attack on us all. So Anyway, Sophie, the Porter's Poet, recommended it, and you see, this is the thing. I mean, this is why I said about Roswell Rising when I was talking about my book Roswell Rising, is I said I did not want it to be a conceptual book, and this is the problem because it is about what's the time now? Time, oh, a quarter of an hour to go before it starts. I don't want it to be a conceptual book because conceptual literature is just so bloody lousy. I mean, what I mean by conceptual is kind of what I've been talking about here. You can make things as really stupid and pathetic, and in terms of their artistic value, you can make things as unartistic as you like, so long as you're presenting some kind of concept which is politically correct. And this, I think, was what... Am I being cynical and thinking that perhaps this is what John Grisham did? Maybe just he was cashing in on this cultural Marxism trend. I don't know. But either way, I hope this film doesn't. I really, really do. Like I said, I've not seen anything about it apart from the trailer. The trailer looks sort of like, as I said, doesn't look too bad. It has this element to it that does bother me, but I won't know till I've seen the actual movie. So I'm going to just head on in there, and I'm going to actually watch the movie. And this time I should point out, I'm not going to play the trailer because of all the aggravation I got last time. It's just not worth it. It's just, I just got... Look, there's links in the description box. Go and have a look at the IMDb page. There's links, there's embedded trailers there. Alright, so if you want to watch the trailers of the film, you don't need me to include the trailer in this upload, because it's just not worth it when you go, oh, copyright strike, blocked in certain countries. You have, I talked about this in my previous video anyway. Anyway, here we are, I'm there. Now, so I'm going to head in there, and I'll talk to you guys later. And while I'm watching my movie, I shall enjoy this box of popcorn, advertising the film Fast and Furious 8, with a sort of, there's a submarine there, that's interesting, of popcorn. And this was very kindly provided for me by Sophie the Porter's Poet. So thank you very much, Sophie, much appreciated. I'm sure it will make the film far more enjoyable. Oh, yeah, right, I'm out of here. Now, I'm sure I can remember the way to go. Oh, God, what time is it? Oh, it must be late now. There's the old Kassam Stadium over there. Gosh, you go in light and this ends up dark. Oh, blimey, let's go home. That was quite a film. That really was quite something. Glad I went to see that, it's pretty good. Yeah. Oh, basically, well, firstly, there was nothing supernatural in it, so I wouldn't call it a horror. I don't want to put too many spoilers in, but as I said, it's difficult not to put spoilers in when you're making these reviews. Yeah, what a film. Anyway, it's a bit slow to get going, I must say. It takes ages. It's really sort of like drags a little bit to begin with, but it's worth hanging on for, because it gets pretty dramatic. Now, I don't want to put too many spoilers in, but basically, some of it is a little bit cliche, like girlfriend takes the boyfriend home to meet the parents. The parents live in this dingy old strange house in the middle of the woods. Yeah, that was it. But I mean, it does take a while to get going, because to begin with, it's sort of a bit of domestic bliss. Introduce them to the family show them the home. The family are all white and they have black servants, and there's lots of things. Oh, but how will I react to my boyfriend being black and things like that. You go through that for a while. For a while, it's almost like that's the plot of the film. But then you realise something weird is going on. Something's not quite right. It's very well done. the way they inject that intrigue into the scenario with you know, just using music, using the expression on people's faces, various kinds of symbolism and metaphors put in. Yeah, so you get the feeling something really weird's going on, something's not right. And especially when he talks to the black servants, because like, and there's this other guy at a party, another black guy turns up at the party, and Chris goes over to introduce himself, saying it's good to see another black guy around here, you know. If a white person does that, then that's racist, but if black people can do that, that's absolutely fine. And he's got this weird look in his eye. He's like, it reminds me a little bit of that, The Second Coming. Those those glinty black eyes. He has these weird eyes, and I'm thinking, yeah, Chris, because Chris, like, some strange things happen. Like, people keep unplugging his phone. He puts his phone into charge. Chris is the bloke. Chris is the man, the black guy. Rose is his white girlfriend. And every time he puts in the phone to charge, someone unplugs it. And he's trying to get hold of his friend, and he can't. His friend keeps trying to phone him. His friend works for the travel safety agency in the USA. So, like, and he's trying to get hold of him all the time, and he can't. And it turns out the weird guy at the party with the weird eyes, it turns out they know him, and he's a guy who went missing a while ago. And there's this little prologue on the film where you see him go missing. And so Chris knows something's weird and he's not sure what. And then, because it's not just the family is a mum and dad. Mum's played by Catherine Keener, who was in a couple of those DVDs that I showed you, with a real blonde and being John Malkovich. So she's quite a well-known actress. She's a bit older in this one. Because those were a few years ago, those sort of late 90s, those films were. She's a bit older in this one. But I don't want to put in spoilers, right, but she's a hypnotherapist. And so she hypnotises, at one point she hypnotises Chris to try and help him stop smoking. And all sorts of weird things like that. It's like, you get this illusionary, it's very, very well done actually, it's a very effective kind of effect. Very effective kind of visual. Oh my god, it's spooky here. Because that's the Oxford Science Park over there. Bloody hell, it's spooky. Coming up to the bridge now. There's this kind of visual effect where he sort of like goes down this hole, he's looking up and he's seeing everything around him through a little screen, like a little square screen. It reminded me a little of Train Spotting, where the guy is lying on the carpet and he goes down this well with a carpet and he's looking up from the bottom of this well and he can see everything through his eyes, but it's like at the top of this well, which implies he's like high on drugs. That's really, really spooky, really, really creepy. And this is the same, it's very similar. What's it called? The sunken place, they call it. And I won't give you too many spoilers, but basically it's a bit like, because a lot of the friends turn up, a whole load of people turn up to this party, and they're all weird. And it turns out that it's some kind of... The husband's a neurosurgeon, and the wife, the mum, Rose's mum, is a psychiatrist hypnotherapist. And it turns out they've lured Chris there because they want sort of like to do experiments on him. And I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but he has to go through this procedure where he gets his brain operated on. And yeah, so this family turned out to be part of some kind of cult. It's a bit like Eyes Wide Shut. They're part of some kind of cult, and they lured this young man to there, and it's all it gets a little bit cliche, I suppose, because there's a scene where the dad, this neurosurgeon, is performing brain surgery on this bloke, and he like does a craniotomy, cuts through the skin with a scalpel, and he uses a saw to cut through the skull. I've seen this thing done in theatre, and he rips the skull. No, he's never done. You only ever take tiny little patches, small holes when you're doing craniotomies. But they do a craniotomy on this guy, and he's like, but it's like it's an operating theatre, but there's like candles on sticks all around. You know? Hello. There's candles on sticks all around. Someone's calling at me. Asked me what my YouTube thing was. I think he said something about YouTube. I didn't hear that. Yeah. And yeah. So this operating theatre's like. It gets straight out of like Frankenstein, because he's like doing this operation in this basement, and poor old Chris is strapped to this chair in another room, and they're showing him TV pictures, and it's sort of like, it sounds like MK Ultra. And then in the other room, the dad is performing brain surgery on this guy, doing a craniotomy, and there's like candles on sticks all around. It's like, God blimey. So it's like it's got that little spooky kind of like Frankensteinian element, which I don't know if that was, if it was a cliche, it was just a kind of stylish caricature. I can't work out which it was. But the plot is a pretty simple plot, actually. It's like a one-stage dramatic piece. I'd say it's slow to get going, and there's like this one-stage action scene in the next act. I mean, most of these films have like a prelude. They have several acts. There's a prelude, then there's some drama, and then there's a lull, then there's some more drama. This was like a one-stage climax, all in the final act. So it's not bad. So thanks, Sophie, for recommending me that. That's very interesting. It was a very interesting film. And I think the interesting element was there's this kind of elite group of mind controllers, and people who are into, you know, they actually kidnap people and use their body for spare parts. For some reason they kidnap black people all the time, and it's like, I never quite work out why that was. It was something to do with stamina or something. Maybe it's because they got better muscle tone. I can't remember how it was. It was something to do with DNA. You know, there's a couple of hints, like this guy goes, oh yeah, it's black genetics. You know, there's a lot to be said for black genetics, and you think, and then maybe that's why they select black people, because all the people they've lobotomized are black people. All the servants are like former people they've kidnapped and then brain butchered. Extremely weird that is this kind of, you get the hint, there's this kind of network. And this is what's interesting, there's this sort of elite network of illegal kind of, well, it's not illegal because they make the law because they're the elite, but there's this elite kind of network which kidnaps people off the street and does unconsensual medical procedures on them. It's rather like a Montauk Project, actually. And you see, it's like, funny thing is, they're kind of like, they're almost like the kind of perfect liberals. It's really, I don't know if there's a bit of satire in that, but because I mean, I was worried that they might we were going to see a kind of like a big rant about, you know, how evil white straight males were, and how evil they are to black people. The film actually didn't go into that. The film actually did not really. That wasn't really a problem. It didn't. Am I going the right way? I think I'm lost. Where am I going? I shouldn't be lost. I've been down this way a million times. Have I gone into a parallel universe? Guess we'll soon find out. Anyway, so there was this sense that, there's this elite who carry out these mind control experiments on people. I'm lost. I'm just going to find my way where I'm supposed to be going. Won't be a sec. Okay, I'm on the right track now. Yeah, it's weird. This strange. I mean, the programme only hints at it, but you get the feeling there's this really big elite, and they're based in probably among kind of upper class, sort of like upper class or aristocratic, or as you'd say in Britain, but sort of very, very posh, rich, rural dwellers that have this kind of network where they do all kinds of unspeakable things that no one else would ever do. And I think I'd like the film to have explored that further. I mean, the film just didn't go into that in enough detail. It didn't really address that enough. It could have explored that element more, I thought. And it's a tantalising kind of glimpse into this world. It's rather like Eyes Wide Shut. And there could have been some kind of epilogal explanatory scene, rather than rather stupid. The ending's a bit stupid, actually. It's a bit over jocular and open-ended. No real explanation of anything. And that's disappointing. So, but not a bad film, all in all, I'd say. Not a bad film. Like I said, it wasn't as cultural Marxist as I thought it was going to be. There's some pretty neat touches to it. Spooky atmosphere, very atmospheric, especially in the early part of the film, in the middle part of the film. As I said, it's slow moving. It's quite a slow moving movie. It's takes some patience actually to get through it, actually, because it's not very well paced. Still worth seeing. Probably give it 7 out of 10, something like that. And now we'll see what those bloody critics have to say about it. Ooh. Yeah, I can't resist it. I've got to just examine what the critics have to say. I really do. So let's go and do that next. I should point out another really amusing part of the film that I thought was quite funny, and I couldn't help wondering if they were being a little bit satirical, actually, because Chris is very, very worried about meeting Rose's parents at the beginning because he's black, and she hasn't told him he's black, etc. That obviously before we all found out what's really going on. But he said, "Oh, don't worry, they supported President Obama. They're not racists." I just thought that's rich, isn't it? Yeah, you could prove you're not a racist by supporting Barack Obama. And there's one point where Chris is talking to Rose's dad before he turns nasty. This is the beginning, and Rose's dad is giving him a tour of the house, and he says, "Yeah, Barack Obama, best president we ever had. I'd have voted for him for 3 terms running if I could have done." I don't know if that's interesting, isn't it? Because these elitists they're sort of like a liberal elite. They're not right-wingers. They're kind of like swipple, I think the word is. I think that's the word they use nowadays, swipple. You hear that a lot these days, but that's what they are. They're swipples. Funny that, isn't it? Okay, it's the next day now. I got home last night and I had about 3 pints of water because popcorn really makes you thirsty. And I had the sweet type, not the salty type. Next time I'll get one of their those big drinks they have in huge 10-pint cartons. Maybe that's why they do. That's why they do it. See, because it's a sales gimmick. You know, popcorn makes you thirsty, so you have to drink. So then they sell those big Coke cartons, don't they? Yeah, I didn't finish the movie last night because I was just too exhausted. I've not been right the last couple of days. I've not felt right. I was going to go to London yesterday and I didn't. I was going to do this video later in the week, but I was going to go to London and attend an event and I didn't. I was not feeling up to it. And anyway, I've had a sleep and I've thought about it, and I gave the film 7 out of 10 last night. I'm now gonna revise that. I'm going to call it 6 out of 10. So it's about the same as the Viceroy movie. I think I gave that 6 or 7 out of 10. Which means basically it's passable. It is adequate. But it could have been so much better. I'd love to have explored more this idea of a secret society. And there were some neat little touches like the deer. I mean, the symbol of the secret society appears to be a deer. And in this trailer there's this scene where the Chris, the protagonist, sees this phantom kind of deer skeleton, and that's not in the movie. That's obviously an outtake. So I learned that there's a strange secret society that kidnaps people, black people specifically, and mind controls them and carries out psychotronic kind of whatever they do to them in terms of a neurological alteration to turn them into mind control slaves. Whew. I mean so it could be. It's a film which I think it's a really good idea, but it could have been better. I mean, the acting was good. I mean, the chap who plays Chris was very good. I mean, he looks really scared at times when he's supposed to be scared, like you see in the still I've chosen for the title shot. That's where he's being hypnotised by Catherine Keener's character, the mum, his girlfriend's mum, and he ends up recalling his own mother's death because his mum died when he was little, and he was a little bit kind of in denial about it. Like I said, it's a neat idea that was not really used properly. It was wasted. And as I said, the ending of the film is, without giving you any spoilers, the ending of the film is pretty stupid. It's a dull, very truncated, and strangely facetious. It's got a very facetious kind of humour at the end, which I thought was a bit silly. There's some good. I think my favourite character was actually Rod, who is Chris's friend. I thought it was his brother. At the start, you think it's his brother, and then later on, when he goes to the police, they say if it's his father. But he's kind of like he's actually his best friend. But he's this like I say, he works for the travel safety agency. He's this very loud kind of chubby, boisterous sort of black guy you often get in America, you know. Like one of Eddie Murphy's characters. But he's adorable. He's a really cool character, and he saves the day at the end. You know, I don't want to post any spoilers. So 6 out of 10, I'd say. Not bad. Could have been better. Bit disappointing. But thanks for Sophie, the Porter's Poet, for for directing me to it. I'm glad she did. I'm glad I went and reviewed it. So that's what I think of it. The question is, what do the critics think of it? Okay, let's have a look at what the critics are saying. Now, as always, I'll start with The Guardian. Now, I haven't read this yet. Okay, I've not even looked at what you're seeing in front of you, this little screenshot. But I'm guessing that The Guardian, whether it likes the film or not, is going to go overboard on the racial politics of the film. They're going to absolutely blow it out of all proportion. And it'll probably be very, very sympathetic towards the idea that black people are all victims and white heterosexual males are all evil, etc., etc. And they're going to, even though, as I said, the actual racial politics of the actual movie was very downplayed. It was not. It was actually quite. It was not as pronounced as I thought it would be. Certainly not from watching the trailer. But anyway, let's have a look. Let's see what they have to say, and let's see if I was right or wrong. And I was right, yeah. Get Out review. White liberal racism is terrifying bogeyman in sharp horror. And then this person goes on to say, writer-director Jordan Peele masterfully combines incisive social commentary with genuine seat-edge suspense in film exploring the evils of American suburbia. By the way, when I do these strange voices, It's partly because I like to take the piss, but also because I'm reading out the review in the voice which I think people who write for the Guardian will talk like, which is sort of like SJW type middle class kind of hippie leftist types, and also so that when I stop speaking, then when I start speaking in my own voice, commentate on their review, you know it's me speaking and not them. So there's a little photo here of Chris and Rose. Here we go. Oh right, here we go. There's a little inset here which says "Get Out," the horror film that shows how it's scary to be a black man in America. Oh, this is another. God, they've got more than one review. I don't know. I've got time to go through all these reviews. I'll start with this one anyway. Here's a great, often underappreciated history of social commentary within the horror genre, man. From John Carpenter's politically charged They Live to Brian Forbes' haunting adaptation of The Stepford Wives, Ira Levin's icy take on male fear of second-wave feminism, scares and satire used to arrive simultaneously. Well, I'm glad he brought up They Live. Now that is They Live is a great movie. It's far better than Get Out, and it is social. It is a sort of it's actually quite a left-wing class-based social commentary more than anything else. But it's very, very. It has more. It has much more meaning to it. I could do an entire program just about the film They Live by John Carpenter. The Stepford Wives, I think, I actually interpret it more as a. We're talking about the original 1970s one, not the stupid remake. The Stepford Wives, I interpreted more of as a satire of feminism, or a satire of both of feminism and of male chauvinism. I didn't. It was quite a take on both of those things. I detected both of those things within them, even though people say they're opposites, but I think they're not. I think they're extremely similar. Anyway, he continues. But somewhere along the way, that tradition has been jumped, shocked, out of its seat, popcorn flying, and replaced with vapidity and impatient teenage audience force-fed predictable thrills over a story that might provoke and inspire debate. Jordan Peele doesn't want to make things easy for his audience. His new film Get Out is designed to lift the facade of post-racial America and showcase the ugliness that lies beneath. What's quite astounding is not only how sharply he managed this man, but that he does so while crafting a terrifying horror film. Now, I wouldn't call Get Out a horror film. I mean, a horror usually implies there's some sort of supernatural or science fictional element. This is more a kind of slasher movie. It's more kind of splatterpunk, I suppose. It's very eyes wide shutty, like you said. But it's a lot more. There's a lot more horror. There's like open brain surgery and things like that. Anyway, he talks about gives a basic scenario for the gives a basic scenario of the plot. And then it goes, but Chris starts to feel uncomfortable. There's something up with the other black people in the house. Yeah. Rather spooked out groundskeeper and maid. The lady who plays the maid, actually, I should point out, is I've seen her before somewhere. She's quite well known. You know, and then, why is Rose's mother so obsessed with hypnotizing him? And why the hell are all these white people suddenly descending on the house, man? These evil, white, heterosexual male scum. They must want to turn him into a slave, man. Yeah, that's right. I know it happened thousands of years ago, but they're still doing it. Ironically, that's exactly what happened. They do turn these black people into slaves. I mean, that's the point. They turn them into mind-controlled with zombies with filleted brains. He carries on like this. He says, there's an embarrassingly well-observed truth to the interaction we see in Peele's comedic background to ensure that nervous laughter is never too far away. Well, I didn't find it very funny, actually. There's a few funny bits in it, but it didn't. I wouldn't call it that. I mean, the real comedy is provided by the character Rod. As I said, this is Chris's best friend. I thought he was excellent. He was certainly the best actor, and he was the best. he was the best character. He was the most entertaining and likable character as well. Anyway, Get Out is a provocative, button-pushing shocker that buries itself under your skin and lingers. Its genre trapping serves as a devious delivery for scathing takedowns of white liberal suburbia. It's rare for a horror story film to feel this fresh, and it's at a frighteningly topical moment for a country where racism is scarier than ever. Because I know what he's going to say next. Because that evil Donald Trump, the new Nazi, is now in power, and he's going to put all black people into cotton fields, and all gay people are going to be put into camps and given chemical drugs. Oh yeah, I know. Honestly, there are people in America who actually believe that. They actually believe that is true. Now they're giving it 4 out. This particular critic has given it 4 out of 5, so it's a very, very he really liked it. And I didn't expect that. I thought they seemed to be quite enamoured of this film. I knew they would be very enamoured of the political politics, but they seem to be very, very. They seem to generally like it. It's someone called Benjamin Lee. There's someone else. Someone else has written on the Guardian's written another one too. This is someone called Ashley Bakewell. Just in time for Halloween. Oh, the Get Out, the horror film that yes, it scares. I've read that out before. Jordan Peele's directorial debut about murderous white community is a refreshing vision of a genre that often sidelines people of colour. And just in time for Halloween. It's not just in time for Halloween. Now, Jordan Peele, actually, I looked him up. He has actually created some TV shows. It is his movie debut, but it's not his directional debut, I don't think. Halloween, after a notably devastating year for race relations in the US. Yeah, well, the thing is that the problem, the race relation problems in the US have not been caused by Donald Trump. It's been caused by George Soros and his manipulated group Black Lives Matter that have been causing riots. That's the cause. It's George Soros and his Open Borders Foundation. But I mean, they're going to put this on. Oh no, they're going to put the blame on white people, aren't they? Yes, they are. I bet you. Get Out has hit, causing an understandable stir. Given Peele's Emmy Award-winning comedy show Key and Peele, it's perhaps no surprise that his first film would involve racial commentary. But what's interesting is that he would insert this within the horror genre, and he gives a bit of he gives a little bit of the plot here, and it's very interesting here that he says here a major element of this relates to the racial differences as Chris must navigate an almost entirely white space, relying on a lifetime's worth of practice dealing with microaggressions and discrimination. Well, the thing is, there's only microaggressions. I mean, people within the film. I mean, there are things that happen where people are having a laugh together, But I mean, they're actually the family to begin with. Before you realise that they're a bunch of murderous mind controllers and part of a secret society, seem quite nice. They quite like him, and they're very, very nice about him. He goes on further. What has it said? I think this is going on. I won't read all of this, but he says it's a fair statement, but it won't be the first time that racial fears have been encoded within the genre. In George A. Romero's seminal Night of the Living Dead in 1968, the African-American lead Ben, played by Dwayne Jones, and his grim fate, he gets killed. Yeah, all right. Now, 1968. Yeah. Night of the Living Dead, the first of the classic zombie movie series. I've talked about this on my Real Zombies videos. Romero actually chose Dwayne Jones to play the lead character, who I don't say the African American's a word I don't use. He's black. The word Romero, he said, I didn't select a Negro specifically to play that role, but I was so impressed by his audition that I thought that Dwayne Jones is the only man for the job. Right? So I think this politically correct cultural Marxist reviewer in The Guardian is reading into that film something he wants to see, which the director never intended to put in. Now at the end it's true. I mean, all right, you've probably seen the film, but the lead character Ben, he gets shot. People think he's a zombie and shoot him accidentally. And this person says this eerily coincides with the assassination of Martin Luther King. Well, I mean, yeah, that's true. Martin Luther King was shot by a government conspiracy. It wasn't James Earl Ray, as I've said before. But I think this guy, there's no nest. There's not. I don't think these two things are connected. Anyway, this is getting on a bit. This is getting a bit stupid. I find it a bit. I think the basic plan is that white people are bad, even when they are not bad. I think that, like, the white family that Chris comes and sees. It's funny because, like, they turn out to be nasty in the end, but at first they're really nice to him, and you think to yourself, this is why I say it's slow to get going, because the opening, the first 3/4 of an hour of the film is basically this kind of domestic bliss scenario with Chris being introduced to his girlfriend's parents, and they're very, very nice. They're very obliging. I mean, they're, microaggressions and discrimination. I mean, they're really, really nice to him. The problem is, it's hard to, if you're a white heterosexual male, it's hard to, almost anything you say could be interpreted as a microaggression. And the definition of a microaggression is basically something which another person considers to be a microaggression. So if you say the word tree, a black person could say, well, why did you say tree in front of me? Are you saying I'm a monkey and I'm going to climb it? You see what I mean? You can't win. And I think the idea of this is that the reviewer here, Ashley Blackwell, knows that you can't win and doesn't want you to win. The Guardian seem to regard this as a piece of white guilt, inducement of white guilt, and they seem to like it. They like the fact that it's an inducement of white guilt. Whereas I actually didn't detect any white guilt propaganda in it. As I said, I think the racial politics were very played down. So that there is The Guardian. Oh, goodness me, I'm going to go out and get triggered now. Right, now the Daily Telegraph. Now I imagine they're going to take a slightly different view of this, because the Telegraph is sort of like a conservative paper. Get Out review, a breathlessly suspenseful expose of the horror of liberal racism. So he says, Get Out is one of the first films that expressly to be set in the post-Obama era, even if the writer and director Jordan Peele was shot it about a year ago, and couldn't have known exactly what ghastly frights this era would entail. Either way, there's not a Trump voter in sight, because this is a horror satire about covert racism, liberal racism, not the out and proud kind. The movie rattles with provocations, among them the opening sequence in which a young black guy, Lakey Stanfield, walks down a suburban street talking on his phone, is passed upon by a curb crawler in a sports car. Now, that's interesting. This is the prologue to the movie. You see this young black guy who turns up later in the film as a mind-controlled zombie. He's walking along the road in this posh sort of white neighbourhood and talking to his phone, looking very nervous. And this car pulls up, and you can hear very loudly, it's playing on the radio, the song Run Rabbit Run. Run Rabbit Run, Rabbit Run, Run Run. And they kidnap him, and this is of course part of the plot. And he goes on, this film is all about a feature-length paranoia about being a black outsider in an all-white enclave. It's less guess who's coming to dinner, more guess what's being served. Now this is a guy called they're 5 months into the relationship. He's anxious about their trip upstate because his perfect girlfriend Rose Armitage wants to allay concerns that her boyfriend, a black photographer, will be treated badly. The initial reception from her parents, Dean and Missy, is all hugs and bonhomie, and they don't bat an eyelid to his skin colour. Well, there you are, I see. The Telegraph reporter has interpreted it very different by saying, look, these microaggressions are not microaggressions. They're not discrimination. They're just these are people. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, I've spoken to black people about this. I've got black friends, and I've spoken to black people about this, and they say, I don't want to be patronised. I don't want people tiptoeing around me. You see, this is why I don't do that. And this is, but the Guardian, they'll say, "Oh, what's it like?" They'll sort of like I think the Guardian does patronise black people. I should have said that before. According to these people I spoke, they wouldn't want to be treated like that. I think the Guardian, I think, is specifically is a newspaper for sort of white, like I say, white middle class liberal leftists, aimed at white middle class liberal leftists. I don't think they're talking to black people. They're using black people in a sense as props for their own virtue. So I know that's harsh, but I mean, I really resent the tone that the Guardian took there. Right. Peel makes a choice, an interesting choice, of showing the first encounter as a master shot, not a close-up. It's from afar. But that's true. I mean, when they show him, he's shot from across the garden. You can hear them embracing and everything. The body language all seems above board, but the closer we get to the Armitages, that's Rose's family, the more an eye-widening below boredness creeps in. Why is their basement locked? Why are there 2 employees, both black, and socially paralysed? Well, yeah, I mean, they are the 2 employees. This young chap who's a gardener, and then there's their maid, this lady. I said it's quite a well-known, who was quite a well-known, she's quite a well-known actress. I can't remember her name. Oh, their house is not like some Rhode Island equivalent of an antebellum plantation with iced tea served on a lawn. And the movie was shot in Alabama for tax reasons. And the film heads towards its grisly and breathtaking, breathlessly suspenseful last reel. Peel, until now a comedy specialist, handles with impressive grasp of pacing, considered shock and restraint where it counts. Well, this is kind of like I thought the pacing of the film could have been better. Actually, I didn't think much of it. Like I said, it's all a bit. If anything, the film could have been a bit longer. It should have been a bit longer, and perhaps I say it's slow to get going, and then it goes boom, and then that's it. That's the end of it. So it could have been better in that case. Where do we go from here? Oh, it's yeah. Chris is here we go. He goes just basically more and more into the plot. He says here, the horror elements of the film lie in wait, just as they did in the satires of a former generation of the Stepford Wives' Rosemary's Baby. It does have similarities to Rosemary's Baby, actually, I must say, because Rosemary's Baby is very good. That's a Roman Polanski film from the 70s, in which you do get this young woman marries a husband who has a circle of friends who were members of this satanic network, and they have this kind of weird geniality about them, which says that they are kind of they're outwardly normal, but there's something about them that's worrying. And then he talks about the hypnosis thing. Very interesting. And it carries on like this. The very ending could have been stronger. Yes, it could. Yeah. You can sense Peel edging in a too full-on direction, and then backing out with a too facile fix. That's very perceptive, actually, because that's what it is like. But it's still a forceful and inventive American horror film. Well, yeah, I mean, I suppose this Telegraph art, I think this Telegraph review is a lot better, and is a lot. It concentrates more on the actual movie itself rather than on the racial political element. As I said, I told you the Guardian would overplay the racial political element. That the Telegraph reader plays them down, or in a sense, maybe makes them less perceptive, because I mean, you can see it more as a film as the film should be seen. It is some kind of slasher movie, and it's a slasher movie which. To me, it's far less racial. It's more a kind of glimpse into the dark world of an elite that is pretty misanthropic generally. I mean, I didn't get the feeling these people. See, they're not racist as such. They're just kind of using people for various terms, like to turn them into slaves and zombies, and use them for some medical purpose, some sort of medical experimentational program, which is never fully explored. And that's another thing I didn't like about the film. The film was, I'd like to have known more about that, about what they're actually doing, because they're not targeting black people because they're racist. They're not KKK members, as I said. Like I said, they're all white liberals, and the dad is like this
Obama voting swipple. It's a great word. I only just found that word out. Swipple. Um, but it's something about black people, the genetic makeup of black people, as one of the guests at the party said, is why they're targeting them. This is why Chris has been lured there to supposedly his death. But we never find that out in detail, which is disappointing. Finally, we've got this week. I'm choosing Rolling Stone magazine for my third review analysis. Now, how do people from Rolling Stone speak? The Rolling Stone magazine. I suppose they speak like Mick Jagger, don't they? Yeah, Rolling Stones. Get Out review: scares meet racially charged satire, an instant horror classic. And he says, a jolt-a-minute horror show laced with racial tension and stinging satirical wit. How's that one movie? Get Out is a debuting director, Jonathan Peele. This socially aware, scary movie takes you by surprise. At the ending of the scene, for a slasher flick, that's a ticking time bomb, and then kaboom. Well, it's exactly that. It's a ticking time bomb with a very slow-running fuse, and the kaboom is a bit brief in that sense. Have you told your parents I'm black? Those are practically the first words that aspiring photographer Chris Washington speaks to his girlfriend Rose before they drive off to white suburbia 2.0 for a weekend meet and greet with her parents. The epitome of white privilege. Well, you see, it's like I said, you see, like the white privilege thing. I object to that because Rose's parents are obviously very well off. They're sort of, I say, upper class, upper middle class. The dad's a neurosurgeon, the mum's a psychiatrist, plus hypnotist, and they live in this huge house. But it's not suburbia. They live in this remote part of the countryside, in the woods, classic horror. But I don't think that, you see, this idea of white privilege is in a sense saying, well, that's what all white. I think the image is that's how all white people live. They all live in these huge 3-story palaces in clearings in the woods, which is not the case at all. I mean, this is the white privilege thing. I get annoyed when I hear that because I don't think it's real. I don't think it's true, and people tend to say it's an attack. It's like you're bad if you've got privilege. People who consider themselves unprivileged wear it on their sleeve like some kind of Olympic medal. There's even that phrase that Sargon uses. It's Sargon of Akkad. He calls it the oppression Olympics. That's it, the oppression Olympics. It goes through the. It says pretty similar things here in the actual synopsis as what the Telegraph said. And there's another reference to the Stepford Wives, which I don't think this is like the Stepford Wives. It doesn't really work out. It doesn't really sound like the Stepford Wives. The Stepford Wives is a great movie. It's really, really good. It's kind of like it's about these blokes who get sort of mind-controlled artificial wives. Very, very good. And where do we go? This doesn't really say very much apart. He says if Peel goes more for the jugular than the subtext in the final scenes, it doesn't distract from the provocative blend of scares and smarts used to stick it up to the white liberal elite. I wanted to make something I hadn't seen before, he's been quoted as saying. Well, he has. I mean, it's the kind of film I suppose you haven't seen before. But I did get a bit annoyed with. I did get a bit annoyed with it, I must say. But interesting reviews anyway. So those were interesting little snippets there from the critics. It's interesting how the different newspapers and other things regarded this particular film. All in all, I thought it's not a bad movie. It's not a bad movie, but funnily enough, this time it's funny how my views and the critics' views diverge so enormously. I mean, it seems that I never like what they like. The critics have been far more positive about this film than I am. Like The Guardian gave it 4 out of 5. I'd give it, I don't know how that translates, but as I said, 6 out of 10. I mean, it's sort of like in the middle for me. It's neither good nor bad. It has some really good features, and it's worth watching. It's not exceptional though. It could have been an awful lot better. I think it failed in various ways. Nevertheless, I did enjoy doing this little film review of it on her Panmo TV. And Sophie, the Porter's Poet, I've got to thank for letting me know about this. Thank you very, very much, and for the popcorn, much appreciated. And so next, what am I going to do next on her Panmo TV? Do you know what? I'm not sure. I'm going to be away this weekend, and then I'll be back next week, and I'll have some more ideas. I feel like I'm burning myself out a bit. I've been very tired. I think that I'm not feeling quite well, and people have been asking me questions. I haven't got back to them, and they've sort of been reminding me, saying, "Ben, I asked you that days ago. Why haven't you replied to me? What's going on?" And I just said, "Look, I'm very, very sorry. I feel like I'm doing too much. Maybe I'm burning myself out. So perhaps I need to take a step back. I mean, and relax for a bit, do something else." So if you don't get a video from me for a week or maybe even 2 weeks, don't worry. I haven't forgotten you. I will make videos, but it's just getting the energy together to do it on top of all the other things I've got to do. And I'm trying to write my new book as well, and that's going very slowly because of all the other things I'm doing. But anyway, there will definitely be a video after next weekend. Not this one coming, the weekend after, because I'm doing something which I can't tell you about. It's secret, but all will be revealed, and I think you'll find it interesting. So thank you very much for watching her Panmo TV. I hope you enjoy the film Get Out if you go and see it. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order.